Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, it is game week in Arizona. The Wildcats getting set for the season opener at San Diego State this coming Saturday. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, let's talk about the offensive line, because as we touched on in our last show, it's really the key to this team, but in particular this offense, is going to be whether or not the guys up front are better than they were last year. And I guess one of the things, Glenn, that really kind of stands out to me about this group is, yeah, you've got a few veterans, but you got a whole lot of young guys. I mean, the majority of the guys on this offensive line, and they took this pick last week with their coaches over at the complex, a lot of young guys, a lot of sophomores on down, still some guys to build on for the future for this offensive line.
Yeah, there is a lot of young guys, which is a good thing for us, but it's also a bad thing because of the inexperience. But the guys, the older guys like the Morgans and the Fears and the Donovans, those guys got to lead, and they have to lead by being physical. If they are physical, if they set the tone of being physical and being a little prickish, man, they got to be some bad dudes. And if they establish that early, then the other kids will follow along.
Well, as tough as I was, Glenn, at times on Peyton Fears last year, you got to give this young man some props, because he basically stayed on the field for the entire season last year, played pretty much every single offensive snap that there was for Arizona, and we want to see improvement out of him. But I think you look at that durability that he showed, and I think a lot of guys can take away from the fact that, hey, he wasn't always healthy, but he was out there giving it his all for this offense.
Yeah, the Lou Gehrig of the offensive line, man. I mean, the guy is just there every day, man. And you got to give credit to him, because playing offensive line is a physical thing. The most physical on the football field. And I think that's a tribute to him taking care of his body, understanding, that guy, some of the games he had, he didn't have a very good game. He could have went down in the tank and then been taken out of the game and did someone else take a spot. But he continued to come back. And I think he's going to have a good year this year.
And on the opposite side, obviously, you've got the young man from Marana, Jordan Morgan, and there's been talk over this summer about Jordan Morgan potentially being an NFL prospect. I'm not ready to say that. I need to see more from Jordan Morgan. He needs to be able to stay on the field, and he needs to be able to control those rushers off the edge. We saw him get beat too many times inside, outside last year. He's got to be better at protecting that blind side for Jayden de Laura this season.
Yeah, we can have the best quarterback in the world back there and the great wide receivers, and we got great tight ends, but it's not going to mean anything if our quarterback is on his back. And that's what Jordan Morgan has to improve if he wants to make some money, because he has all the tools. If you look at the guy, he's got the height, he's got the length, he's got the strength, he's got everything. He just got to get the technique down. It's important for him to be a professional now and learn his technique. Understand, being a technician is going to take him a long way.
What do you want to see, Glenn, from some of the inside guys? You've got a lot of those guys that backed and saw experience last year, and JT Hand, Josh Baker in the middle, Leif Magnuson. We've seen him working a lot in camp at that number 2 center position. Woody Jean might be a guy that's finally able to maybe step in, and he looks the part as well. What do you want to see from some of the guards and the centers?
I just want to see those guys be able to handle the people in front of them, especially the nose guards, because we used to get a lot of push-up from the front on the front 3 guys. So we have to be better there and being able to sustain our level and then create the pocket. If we create the pocket for Jayden de Laura, he will make passes. He will make connections with the wide receivers. That's important for us, to create the pocket. If we don't do that, last year we saw our guys running out a lot, getting out of the pocket. We got to be able to create the pocket, and that starts with the guys up front. And I think Josh is a kind of a stubby kind of guy. I think he is, and he's got wide body, and I think he's played pretty good during spring and also in fall, and he's solidified that position. So we're going to have to see some improvement, and he's going to have a battle on his hands come Saturday on the 3rd against San Diego State.
All right, and we mentioned the youth, and there is some excitement in that youth with some of these incoming freshmen, Glenn, that you've got. You've got the kid out of Chandler in Grayson Stovall. And again, this is Jed Fish and those guys trying to bring in kids who have been a part of championship programs. But the real maybe exciting freshman is Jonah Savanea. I mean, he's a kid that I think if you're talking about maybe one of these kids that's in that 7 list of freshmen, of redshirt freshmen, he's one that might be able to get on the field right away for this team.
Yeah, I think when I saw him, he looked like an NFL lineman when he got here. So he's going to have 4 years or 3 years with Tyler Owens, and he's going to make him, that's one guy that he could really make him into a better offensive lineman with having that time inside the weight room in a major college university. That's going to make him even better. He has great technique. I think he's really a little nasty too, because I was watching him, because I get my binoculars out and I'm watching him. He's really kind of physical guy, which we need up there. And hopefully that spreads like a virus, because that's what we need to be, because I don't think we were as physical as we could have been last year.
Well, you've always said, Glenn, you need a little nasty up there in the trenches. And so hopefully Jonas Savanea is the right guy to bring a little nastiness to this offensive line. Kickoff coming up on Saturday in San Diego to start year 2 of the Jed Fish era. Stay with us. We'll have our preview of that game coming up for you Saturday morning, as well as the breakdown for you next Sunday night. Glenn, as always, appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bear down.
All right. Stay with us here. Continuing coverage, News 4 Tucson Sports of Arizona football.